All right, so today we're diving into the story of a guy who was really something special in the NBA. Yeah, Allen Iverson.
Absolutely.
The answer, as he was known.
You got it. And we've got a ton of material on him here, so we're going to try to sort of cut through all the noise and get right to the heart of what made him such a big deal.
That's right. And if you want to get the full picture of his life and career, without having to read a whole biography,
Right.
then this is the place to be, because we're going to hit on all the key moments from, his early days all the way up to his legacy.
Yeah, so why don't we start with where it all began,
Okay.
with his early life.
All right.
Allen Iverson was born June 7th, 1975 in Hampton, Virginia.
Okay.
And, his upbringing was pretty tough. His mom was only 15 when he was born.
Wow.
And his dad wasn't really in the picture.
Okay.
And fun fact, his first nickname was Bubba Chuck.
Bubba Chuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even before basketball took over, it was clear that this kid was a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, and we're talking about a guy who
Right.
excelled in multiple sports.
Multi-sport.
Like, not just good, but like dominant.
Dominant in football, quarterback, running back, kick returner, defensive back.
Wow.
And then on the basketball court, point guard.
So you got to figure that kind of like cross sport.
It's insane.
Yeah, that says something about just like.
Yeah, it speaks to his natural ability.
Yeah.
His agility, his speed, just his overall understanding of sports in general.
Yeah.
And his junior year of high school really kind of solidified this.
Okay.
He won the Associated Press High School Player of the Year in both football and basketball.
What?
Which is unheard of.
I mean,
unheard of.
You never hear that.
Never hear it.
Okay.
And on top of that, he led both teams to the Virginia State Championship.
No way.
Same year.
In the same year.
I mean, you talk about a dominant athlete.
That is unbelievable.
That is a once-in-a-generation type talent right there.
Yeah.
And his basketball talents weren't just limited to the high school scene either.
Okay.
He played for the Boo Williams-led AAU team.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Which was a powerhouse, and he helped them win the 17 and under national championship in 1992.
Wow.
And even early on, he was making connections with people who saw his potential.
Yeah?
Iverson actually considered Boo Williams to be his most inspirational coach.
Huh. So that's got to be a big influence.
Yeah, absolutely. That early guidance is so crucial, instilling discipline and really fostering that talent and providing that support system.
Yeah.
During those critical years, those early coaching relationships, they can really lay the foundation for future success.
Totally.
But things took a bit of a turn during his senior year.
Okay.
February 1993, there was an incident at a bowling alley.
Yeah, this is
a big one.
Huge part of his story, and it's kind of a controversial one.
Very controversial.
So fill us in.
So basically, Iverson was involved in an altercation that ended up with him being convicted of felony maiming by mob.
Maiming by mob.
It's a very rarely used statute in Virginia.
Okay.
And he was sentenced to 15 years in prison with 10 years suspended.
15 years?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
And what's really interesting about this case is that many people felt and still feel that race played a huge role in how this whole thing played out.
Yeah.
A lot of folks thought he was unfairly targeted because of his race, and the severity of the charges and conviction were just way out of proportion to what actually happened.
Yeah.
This led to a ton of public outcry, and a lot of people rallied in support of Iverson and his friends, who are also charged.
Okay.
He ended up serving 4 months at Newport News City Farm before he was granted clemency by the governor.
Okay.
And eventually, his conviction was overturned in 1995 due to insufficient evidence.
Wow.
So, this whole episode, it really highlights the racial tensions that existed back then.
Yeah.
And how those tensions could impact the lives of, young, prominent athletes.
And the crazy thing is, Iverson himself has said that he actually sees his time in jail as a positive thing.
Yeah.
Like, it forced him to develop strength.
That's right.
Which is a pretty remarkable way to look at such a tough experience.
Yeah, absolutely. But this legal battle meant he couldn't go back to Bethel High School for his senior year.
Right.
He had to finish up at Richard Milburn High School.
Okay.
Which is a school for students who are facing, different challenges.
Yeah.
But even with all this going on, his talent was just too big to ignore.
Yeah.
Georgetown coach John Thompson actually offered him a full scholarship.
So that's huge. I mean,
it is.
That says a lot about Thompson.
Yeah, it really shows that he could see past the controversy and recognize Iverson's raw potential.
So he goes to Georgetown?
He goes to Georgetown and...
1994 to 1996?
From 94 to 96, he just explodes onto the scene.
Oh, he hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Freshman year, he wins Big East Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
He's named to the All-Rookie Tournament first team.
Okay.
He averaged over 20 points a game.
As a freshman.
As a freshman in the Big East.
Yeah.
Which is a tough conference.
Super tough. And he led the Hoyas to the Sweet 16.
Wow, okay.
That's impressive.
I mean, so what was it about his style of play? What did he bring to Georgetown?
He brought this electrifying energy and a scoring punch that Georgetown hadn't seen in a while.
Yeah.
He was fearless attacking the basket.
Right.
And his speed was just a weapon.
I mean, you can't coach speed.
No, you can't.
So he's got that.
He's got it.
And then his sophomore year, I mean...
Even better from a team standpoint.
Even better.
Led them to a Big East championship.
Wow.
And an Elite Eight appearance in the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
And his scoring average jumped up to 25 points per game.
Oh, okay.
By the time he left Georgetown, he had set the school record for career scoring average at 23 points a game.
Wow.
And keep in mind, he only played 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
That's insane.
And it wasn't just offense either. He was named Big East Defensive Player of the Year twice.
Twice.
Both his freshman and sophomore year.
Which is pretty rare. I mean...
very rare for a guard who's known for scoring.
Right, to also be...
To be that dominant on defense.
Yeah.
It just shows his competitive spirit, his commitment to both ends of the floor.
Right.
To earn that kind of recognition, especially as a smaller guard.
Yeah.
You got to have incredible tenacity, quickness, and anticipation.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about scoring for him. He was a complete player.
So after those 2 amazing seasons, he decides to declare for the NBA draft.
Yep. 1996.
Which, I mean, was a big deal at the time, right?
Huge deal.
Yeah.
He was actually the first player under Coach Thompson to leave Georgetown early for the NBA.
Wow.
It was kind of a sign of things to come, with more and more top players deciding to go pro sooner.
Right.
And in that 1996 draft, the Philadelphia 76ers, they made him the first overall pick.
The #1 pick.
Number 1.
Right.
And, he was only 6 feet tall, which made him the shortest player ever to be drafted first overall.
I got to raise some eyebrows, right?
Oh, yeah. There are definitely questions about whether a guy his size could really dominate in the NBA against, bigger, stronger opponents.
Right.
But, his explosiveness, his ball handling skills, and his sheer determination, they quickly put those doubts to rest.
Yeah. I mean, he steps onto a struggling 76ers team and immediately makes an impact, right?
Oh, yeah. First game NBA debut, 30 points.
Wow.
He went on to break all kinds of rookie records, including a streak of 5 straight games with at least 40 points.
5 straight games with 40-plus points.
5 straight as a rookie.
As a rookie.
I mean, that kind of instant offense is rare.
Yeah.
Especially for a rookie.
Super rare.
So it was no surprise when he was named Rookie of the Year in 97.
Yeah.
He put up crazy numbers, 23.5 points, 7.5 assists, 2.1 steals per game.
Wow. So he basically brought the excitement back to Philly basketball.
He did, and over the next few seasons, the Sixers, they started to improve with some key additions to the team and Coach Larry Brown, guiding them. They started climbing in the standings.
Okay.
And by the 98-99 season, Iverson had won his first scoring title.
Right.
Led the Sixers back to the playoffs.
Okay.
And then the next year, they made the playoffs again.
Okay.
And importantly, that 99-2000 season, that marked his first All-Star selection.
Okay.
Which was the first of 11 straight All-Star selections.
11 straight.
11 straight.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's amazing. It shows how consistently great he was.
Yeah.
But then 2000, 2001.
This is the season, right?
This is the iconic season.
Like, this is the one everybody remembers.
They came out of the gate hot. They won their first 10 games.
Wow.
Iverson was an All-Star starter again.
Okay.
And then he won the All-Star Game MVP.
Okay.
I mean, what are your biggest memories from that season?
I mean, it's just the intensity, the the will to win every night.
Yeah.
Like, he carried that team.
He carried that team on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And they ended up with a 56-26 record, best in the East. Top seed in the playoffs.
Right.
Iverson himself had a monster year. He averaged 31.1 points, won his second scoring title, won the steals title.
Wow.
It was just a dominant individual performance that also translated to team success.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate individual recognition came calling
the MVP?
The MVP. He was named the NBA's most valuable player.
Right.
6 feet tall, 165 pounds.
Crazy.
Shortest and lightest player to ever win the award.
Yeah.
It just showed how exceptional he was.
Right.
And how much impact he had on the game.
Right.
It really challenged the idea that you had to be big.
Right.
To be a superstar in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what's also important about that season is that it wasn't all on Iverson.
Right.
Dikembe Mutombo won Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Aaron McKee was 6th Man of the Year. Larry Brown, Coach of the Year. So it was a total team effort.
Right.
But Iverson was definitely the catalyst.
Yeah.
And they rode that momentum all the way to the NBA Finals.
Oh, finals.
First time since 1983 for the Sixers.
Yeah.
And they were up against the mighty Los Angeles Lakers.
The Shaq and Kobe Lakers?
Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
And, you know, game 1 of those finals is the stuff of legends.
Oh, yeah. Iverson just put on a show.
48 points, playoff career high.
Wow.
Handed the Lakers their only loss.
The only loss.
Of that entire playoff run.
I mean.
And that iconic step over.
The step over.
Tyronn Lue, after hitting that clutch shot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the most memorable images in NBA history.
Yeah, why do you think that moment was so big?
I think it was the audacity, the skill, the defiance.
Yeah.
He was going up against this dominant opponent.
Right.
And he was not backing down.
Yeah.
It just perfectly captured Iverson's spirit.
Yeah.
You know, his refusal to be intimidated by anyone.
Oh, no.
No matter how big or famous they were.
It's like he was saying, like, I'm
here. Don't care who you are.
Yeah.
And it became a symbol of his impact, you know, his influence. And it's funny because during that season, he started wearing a basketball sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
To protect his elbow because he had bursitis.
Right. Yeah.
And that became a huge fashion trend.
It did, yeah.
In the NBA and with fans.
Everybody had a sleeve.
Everybody had the sleeve.
So it just shows you his influence went beyond just his play.
Yeah, absolutely. And after that season, he signed a big deal with Reebok.
Yeah. Big endorsement.
Huge endorsement deal.
But the seasons after that finals run, they saw the Sixers, you know, having some early exits.
Yeah, there were some bumps in the road.
From the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, 2001, 2002, he was battling injuries.
Right.
They lost in the first round.
Yeah.
And that season also gave us the infamous practice rant.
Oh, yeah.
After Larry Brown called him out for missing practice.
Yeah, we talk about practice.
We talk about practice, man.
All right.
That soundbite, I mean, it's become this, like...
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
People use it all the time.
Yeah.
What do you think that whole thing revealed about, you know, the relationship between Iverson and the coaching staff?
I mean, I think it showed that they had different philosophies.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, maybe a generational difference in how they thought about, you know, the responsibilities of a player.
Right.
I mean, obviously it was about practice, but it was about more than that.
It was about commitment.
Right.
Communication, you know, the pressures that come with being a star athlete.
Yeah.
The next season, they made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Okay.
But they lost to the Pistons.
Okay.
And Iverson actually said later that Baron Davis was the toughest point guard he ever had to go up against.
Wow.
And then after that season, Larry Brown left the team.
Okay.
But apparently their relationship smoothed out over time, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
But those years from 2003 to 2006 in Philly, they were definitely...
A little more difficult.
Yeah, they were marked by, you know, some challenges, some frustrations. There were coaching changes, clashes with the front office, and they missed the playoffs in 2004.
Yeah.
They had a bit of a comeback in 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Iverson won his 4th scoring title.
Okay.
He even dropped a career-high 60 points in one game.
60 points.
60 points.
Wow.
But they still lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Okay.
Then the next season, even though Iverson averaged a career-high 33 points a game.
33 a game.
They missed the playoffs again.
Okay.
And the trade rumors...
started swirling.
They started swirling, yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt like a change was coming.
Right.
And sure enough, by the start of the 2006-2007 season, after a rough start, Iverson asked for a trade.
Yeah.
And that was it for his time in Philly.
So it's over.
It's over after a decade.
A decade.
With the 76ers.
Wow.
And think about this. He left as the franchise's all-time leading scorer.
The all-time leading scorer.
And second in total points.
Wow.
And the Sixers didn't win another playoff series until 2012.
6 years?
6 years after he left.
So that kind of shows you how important he was.
He was the man in Philly.
Yeah.
So after Philly, he had stints with a few different teams.
Okay.
He was traded to the Denver Nuggets in December 2006.
The Nuggets are right.
And he teamed up with Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, wow.
Which was an exciting duo, you know, 2 high-scoring players.
Right.
They did make the playoffs, but they lost in the first round.
Okay.
And he even got fined for criticizing a ref.
Oh, classic AI.
Classic AI, never afraid to speak his mind.
Yeah.
But he had this really emotional return to Philadelphia in 2008.
Okay.
The fans gave him a massive standing ovation.
Yeah.
Which I think just shows, the deep connection he had with the city, even though he was traded. They still loved him.
They appreciated what he did.
They appreciated what he brought to the team.
Yeah.
Then he went to the Detroit Pistons in November 2008.
Detroit.
Yeah, and he had to switch his number.
Why is that?
Because his number 3 was already retired there for Isaiah Thomas.
Oh.
So he wore number 1.
Right.
But his role started to diminish in Detroit.
Okay.
He actually didn't finish the season.
What happened?
Injury and disagreements about coming off the bench.
Coming off the bench.
Yeah, it seemed like it was tough for him.
Yeah.
To accept a different role.
Right, like
later in his career.
Used to being the guy.
He's the man.
Yeah.
And then his time with the Memphis Grizzlies in 2009, that was really short.
Really short.
3 games.
3 games.
Signed a 1-year deal.
Wow.
Played 3 games.
Wow.
And then left.
Why?
Again, he wasn't happy about coming off the bench.
Okay.
And there were some personal reasons, too.
Okay.
They ended up just mutually terminating his contract.
Wow.
It seemed like at that point in his career,
Yeah.
he needed to be a focal point, or he wasn't going to be content.
Right.
But then
he comes back.
He goes back to Philly.
Back to Philly.
December 2009.
This is amazing.
It was a crazy scene. The fans welcomed him back with open arms.
Yeah.
Thunderous ovation. He signed a non-guaranteed deal.
Okay.
And get this, he was actually voted an all-star starter that season.
Wow.
By the fans.
By the fans.
Which shows how much they loved him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he had to leave the team again in February 2010.
Oh, why? What happened?
His daughter was having some serious health problems.
Oh, wow.
Later, it was revealed to be Kawasaki disease.
Okay.
And he decided to step away from basketball to be with his family.
Of course.
And he didn't come back for the rest of that season.
Oh.
So that was kind of a sad ending to his second stint in Philly.
Yeah.
After that, he went overseas.
Okay, where'd he go?
He played in Turkey for Besiktas in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
He only played 10 games, though,
Okay.
before he needed calf surgery.
Oh, wow.
And that was it. He never played professionally again.
Wow.
So in October 2013, he officially retired from the NBA.
Okay.
He said he just lost his desire to play.
Yeah.
But of course, he got another standing ovation at the Sixers' home opener that season. Philly fans just adored him.
They loved him, yeah.
And his retirement press conference was attended by some big names.
Like who?
John Thompson, his college coach.
Wow.
Julius Erving, Dr. J.
Wow.
It was a real testament to his impact on the game.
And then in March 2014, the Sixers retired his number
3.
Number 3.
Up in the rafters.
It's where it belongs.
Absolutely.
And then in 2016, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame.
Fully so.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
And in his speech, he gave a lot of credit to John Thompson and Larry Brown for the impact they had on his career.
Right.
He also played and coached in the BIG3 League.
Oh, yeah.
Starting in 2017.
Yeah.
And more recently, he joined Al Harrington's cannabis company, Viola Brands.
Okay.
In 2021.
Right.
And then he was named Reebok's Vice President of Basketball.
Wow.
In October 2023.
That's amazing.
So he's still involved in the game.
Still involved, yeah.
In different ways.
All right, so we can't forget about his contributions to the national team.
Oh, yeah. USA Basketball.
Yeah.
He was a key part of some successful teams.
Right.
Back in 1995, he played in the World University Games.
Okay.
And he was dominant.
Okay.
Led the team in scoring assists and steals.
Wow.
They won the gold medal.
Okay.
Undefeated.
Right.
And that team also had Ray Allen and Tim Duncan on it.
Oh, wow.
Future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So that early international experience must have been valuable for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, playing against, top competition from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then in 2003, he was a big part of the team that won the gold medal at the FIBA Americas Championship, which qualified them for the Olympics.
Okay.
He started all 8 games.
Okay.
Second on the team in scoring.
Right.
And he even set a USA Olympic qualifying single game record with 28 points and 7 3-pointers.
7 threes.
7 threes against Canada.
Wow.
They ended up winning gold with a perfect 10-0 record. Okay.
But unfortunately, he had to miss the last 2 games because of an injury.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah.
He also played for Team USA at the 2004 Olympics in Athens.
Right.
Where they won the bronze medal.
Bronze medal.
Yeah.
Which, was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, for a team with so much talent,
So much talent.
You expect them to.
You expect them to win gold.
Win gold, yeah.
But, it sparks some debates about team chemistry.
Right.
Even when you have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Doesn't always translate to success if you don't have that chemistry.
So if we look at Iverson's overall NBA career stats, I mean, they're amazing.
They're ridiculous.
He averaged 26.7 points a game.
In the regular season.
In the regular season, which puts him 7th all-time.
7th all-time.
Think about that.
That's insane.
And in the playoffs, he averaged even more.
How much more?
29.7 points a game.
Wow.
Which is 3rd all-time.
3rd.
Behind Michael Jordan and Luka Doncic.
That is elite company.
That is elite company.
Yeah.
And he's got the accolades to back it up.
Oh, yeah.
4-time scoring champ.
Okay.
3-time steals leader.
Wow.
11-time All-Star. 2-time All-Star Game MVP.
Yeah.
And, of course, the 2001 MVP award.
Right.
And to top it all off, he was named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team.
Yeah.
So he's officially recognized as one of the all-time greats.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about his personal life.
Yeah, outside of basketball.
Yeah.
He grew up with 3 younger half-siblings.
Okay.
Early in his career, he actually recorded a rap song.
Oh, wow.
But it was pretty controversial.
Oh.
And it ended up not being released. There were concerns about the lyrics.
Yeah.
He also had a pretty high-profile relationship with the rapper.
Oh,
was on again, off again.
Right.
And despite all the rumors about financial problems,
Right.
he actually denied having any serious money issues in 2015.
Okay.
He married his high school sweetheart, Tawana Turner. They have 5 kids together.
5 kids.
Yeah. But their relationship has had its ups and downs.
Okay.
They actually filed for divorce in 2010.
Wow.
But they ended up reconciling.
Right.
So they're back together.
Okay, that's good.
And his cousin, Karan Iverson, is also a basketball player.
So runs in the family.
It runs in the family.
Okay.
But, we do have to mention the legal troubles that were a part of his career.
Yeah, he had his fair share
He did.
of issues off the court.
Early on, there were arrests, weapons possession,
Okay.
marijuana possession.
Okay.
He pleaded no contest to those charges.
Okay.
There were also accusations of domestic disputes and
Okay.
some incidents at casinos.
Yeah.
There were lawsuits, too,
Right.
to his bodyguard's actions at a bar fight.
Okay.
But most of those were either settled out of court or dismissed.
Okay.
And then later in 2013, he was accused of kidnapping his kids.
Wow.
But his ex-wife ended up recanting those claims.
Okay.
So, these off-court issues. Yeah.
They definitely contributed to his complex public image.
Right.
But I think when we talk about his legacy,
Yeah.
it's undeniable.
Yeah.
He changed the game
He did.
and the culture around it
In a lot of ways.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, think about his impact on fashion.
Yeah, the cornrows.
The cornrows,
Yeah.
the tattoos.
Yeah.
He made those things mainstream.
Yeah, before it was...
Especially in the NBA.
Yeah, before it was kind of taboo.
It was, yeah.
But he just owned it.
He owned it.
Yeah.
And he helped change perceptions.
Yeah.